Welcome to the Rustic Garden. Today's March 10th and this is tour number 2 for the 2016 season. I want to talk about this pop-up greenhouse. It's got a lot of weaknesses. I want to talk about the cost, problems, things you can do to really use it for the later fall and into the spring to get your plants out early when the frost is still coming and the cold weather's coming. I'm also getting my containers ready. The containers will warm up before your earth beds, even if they're raised. And at this point, peas are good to go in here, greens are good to go in here. I'm not really worried about amending the soil. I just took out the debris, the old stuff from last year. In some cases I mixed the wood chips, into the top layer. You don't have to worry too much about them competing with your plant. There's tricks that you can do to deal with that, and I'll talk about that in other videos when I show you how I amend the soil. But my containers are ready. Before I go into the greenhouse and show you what I'm growing and talk about the greenhouse, these are also my perennial flowers. It's really important to have perennial plants in your garden or flowers because they attract insects to your garden. Again, these are perennials. There's actually combinations of herbs. That's thyme, yarrow, daisies, all kinds of different things in here. What I like about these is they just keep coming back. So I plant them, it costs me some money to set it up, but year after year they keep coming back, and these will flower and be ready to really start attracting the life into my garden. Over here, some more containers that are ready, and if you can take a quick look out here, I'm starting to get things in shape, but that doesn't have to be done quite yet. It's still a little bit early, but I'll be working on those beds and showing you videos on how I get them set up. Now this greenhouse, I've done videos in the past on really this design. Let me just show you what it is. It's a Stafford model, and I really recommend this type of greenhouse in the sense that the frame that's on the inside doesn't have to be put together. It pops up. It's sort of like the pop-up tents you use for sporting events and stuff like that. It makes the frame really easy to assemble, and it's really sturdy, and I like that. So the problems. So I've done a couple videos where I tried to, grow into the winter here in Maryland, zone 7. I'm in a zone where it can get into the 20s, into the teens, and these just aren't effective. You need a real greenhouse for that. But they are extremely effective for getting your plants out into the garden before the spring arrives, late fall when it still gets cold. We still have frost. To deal with frost, tip number 1. Is you want to come down here. This is actually built, obviously on my deck, but you want to put down plastic and just raise it. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. Just put the plastic down. This is a painter's cloth or painter's plastic, and just raise it about 1 foot, 2 feet into the plastic wall and tape it down. What that stops is the gap down here. Let's see. There's just a gap that you would have wind blowing in through here, and this is what the painter's plastic does, is it just stops the cold air from coming in as easily. Because I'm on a wooden deck, I also want a tarp down, plastic down, so that the cold air doesn't come up through it and bring a freeze into here. This is a nice size, and you can see all of my plants. All the plants that I have brought out here. A couple of tips is when you're growing your plants indoors, they're not used to the sun. They don't even know what it is. They think your grow lights are the sun. If you bring them straight out here on a sunny day, the sun within an hour or two will start burning the leaves because these have not built up a tolerance to the sun. So you slowly, have to bring them outside. Maybe an hour for the first day. Try and bring them out on a cloudy day. I recommend, probably put them where the morning sun is, and then they get shade for the day. But you really want to introduce them slowly to the sun, or you're going to burn your leaves. Now, here's another tip. Because this is a pretty light greenhouse, even a 15-mile-an-hour wind, 10-mile-an-hour wind. Hey, look, there's a ladybug. So they're already coming out. We've had extra warm weather in the last 3 days. It's been getting up into the 80s. So the wind can actually blow in from underneath, lift up the whole greenhouse, and blow it away. And I've already had that happen a couple of times. And you can see all the dirt down there. You can see a lettuce planting, a greens planting that's all beat up. Basically, about a week ago, the wind came, lifted up this entire thing, and everything just fell right into the middle of the floor, and I had to pick it up, you know, piece by piece and really replant it. That's why I have some thyme down there that's like really beat up and, you know, starting to come back, and then, you know, plants that look a lot better, like right here, because some of these came out afterwards and weren't smashed up. So tip number one, or tip number two, is secure your greenhouse down. You need to secure it with the wire, and you can see how the wire is loosened. That's because it's moved a little bit. I'll tighten that back up. But here's not wire, but it's, you know, plastic string. Secure it down there. And also, if you're out in the ground, let's see if I can see it easily here. If you're out in the ground, they come with spikes. You need to spike it down. And I ended up putting in a screw right into my deck to keep this down. So you want to take care of the wind that's coming in from beneath, and you want to make sure this is secure, because it will get destroyed. Now, well, it will get picked up by the wind, and it actually can get destroyed easily. I've already lost 2 over the years. You think I would have learned. And in fact, I opened up the greenhouse and thought, you know, it's getting kind of windy. Maybe the string that you're using on the top isn't enough. You should secure it. And of course I didn't. And the next day, you know, all the stuff collapsed into the middle of the ground. Now, it still gets into the 20s. That's a heater down there. It has a thermostat. I recommend you get a heater with a thermostat. A $20 heater is perfectly fine. I just set it on low. Turn it on at about 10 o'clock at night. You know, shut it off in the morning when I'm going to have frost out here. And it works perfectly well. Keeps everything taken care of. I even have tomato plants. These were the tomatoes I test germinated for the seeds I'm selling. I just haven't gotten rid of them yet, and I'm going to do some experiments on them. Now, here's the problem. This plastic starts to break, and you can see I can put my finger right in here. The zippers are always weak. Where it's hemmed or threaded, it always tears, and duct tape is your best friend when it starts happening. Just put it in there, and you can see all the duct tape I have along the zipper. It's a total weakness. I don't really understand why they don't do a better job of, you know, basically gluing this in here and making it thicker, using thread, doing a couple of things. But your greenhouse is going to tear. So that's why this only lasts about 3 years. You cannot use this an entire season. If you leave it out all year, the plastic you know, gets damaged by the UV rays. The cold weather, when these get cold, they start to crack, and you're going to have problems. So I'm into my 3rd year for this one. I'll probably get a 4th year. The price for this, I'm trying to think, was about $189, which is kind of expensive. However, I buy stuff when it's on sale. And this came from Big Lots, and when the price got down to be 25% off, I bought this one. And then I kept an eye on it, and went down to 75% off, and I bought a second one. But they're a little bit pricey. You know, they're not so much fragile. I wish they would just make them better. I've said that in other videos. Best used for fall and spring, not really effective for fall, winter growing, because they just don't hold the heat and they get beat up too much. Real quick, these are my herbs that I've shot videos on. Sage, oregano, thyme. This is asparagus. This is my greens that I started growing indoors. This is blue better sage, parsley or celery, my onion sets. This is a form of broccoli rabe, I think. All the stuff is doing really, really well. I'm going to be doing videos on these. These are going to be started in 5-gallon buckets for this year, and when they get established, they'll go into the ground. But I'm going to grow some goji berries, grapes, and a fig plant. And most importantly, March 10th, Maryland Zone 7, you can really get your peas started. Peas have some trouble going out into the raised beds, into the ground beds, because it's still cold and wet and they tend to rot. But you can you can start them perfectly well in seed cells. Last couple of years I've been doing this. Prior to that, I thought, you know, because I read somewhere where it said, oh, you can't do it, it's not going to work because peas don't like to have their roots messed with. Well, it's a myth. I've been doing this effectively. The roots come out just right through here. You can see them all. Make sure you keep it moist down in the bottom so they don't dry out. Let them germinate, grow about this tall, and then just drop them into the ground when your raised beds, or containers in this case too, have warmed up and ready to go. They can handle a light frost. They don't mind the cold, but you can 100% definitely start peas in peat pots because I just plant these, or you can even start them in the plastic seed cells like that and just gently pop them out. All of my greens are started. They're cool weather plants. They're going to be going into the containers. But this is where I'm at for March 10th. These greenhouses are really, really useful. They're not super sturdy. You definitely want to take care of the plastic. I'll put some plastic down at the bottom because the wind will blow in through the bottom and drop the temperature. You want to make sure you secure it. I recommend this pop-up frame. It makes life so much easier when you're putting this together and taking it down. I can put this up in 20 minutes and I only need help, you know, popping it up totally to the full size. I can put the plastic on by myself. But you have to pay a lot of attention to the zipper area because it will tear. I mean, and it'll tear the first year too. So you're going to get 3 to 4 years out of this. The price, whoa, I keep tripping over the container. Oh, one more thing is, now that I have my plants out here, I've talked about bottom watering. These have been out here a week, 10 days. They're used to the sun. I'm going to start using a watering can on top of them. And they're going to get half strength liquid fertilizer. That will take care of everything. And that's where I am so far for, you know, 2016. Hope you enjoyed the video. It gives you some quick ideas about the greenhouse, setting up your containers, what you can have growing, and you know, I hope you enjoy your 2016 season. Please check out my blog at www.therustedgarden.blogspot.com and also check out my YouTube videos. Thanks.